before we get into the episode, before we talk about the Mannequin Eyes EP, which I listened to yesterday.
Okay, right on.
That came out in March, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget, because
Okay.
I liked I felt I don't know if you think this is some people don't like the term nu metal. Some people do. I like the term because I feel like there's so many subgenres where people will say it's one thing and then I'll listen to it and I go, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, I don't know what the genre is. Whereas with nu metal, I can name a bunch of bands and I actually know what it is. But how do you feel about the term and the tag?
Like for Dead or whatever, like calling nu metal, I mean,
are you just modern rock?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, I guess I call it like alternative metal, is what I would call it, which is also something that was used with nu metal, but because nu metal, it'll kind of get a bad connotation for some people, but to me, it doesn't, like you're saying, like it's, you kind of know what kind of vibe you're going to get. So it really is, people are going to call it whatever they're going to call it. So I'm okay with it,
Okay. Cause when I was listening to it, I was like, man, some of the bands that have embraced like the nu metal thing have taken these large steps in their career, like that band Motionless in White. I felt like they kind of started off like more like metalcore, kind of reminded me of Bleeding Through, or Winds of Plague type of band. And then now it's like there's some songs to me it could be a Limp Bizkit song, or some songs it could be a Marilyn Manson song.
Right.
And I feel like both of those bands fall under nu metal. Both of those bands sold millions of records.
Right.
And if that's what you're going for, if you're trying to have the biggest reach, if you're trying to get the broadest audience, going that direction could be like a good business decision for a band like that who has theatrics and makeup and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure I think, with them, and we've toured with them a bit, I'm sure it's just like an honest, like probably that's just what Chris is inspired by. I know that for sure, but yeah, it is. It's a, definitely nu metal, that genre, that time was one of the biggest times for metal for sure,
Yeah. And I think by making that musical creative change, you get these bigger tours, people are less afraid of it. I'm not saying other heavy bands should do that if they started off super heavy, but you guys, when I listened to this, I thought, oh yeah, this would go over great on like a Motionless in White crowd or a Marilyn Manson crowd or a Limp Bizkit crowd, or I don't know what your goals are touring, but to me, I just got it. And it wasn't like some of these other subgenres where I'll hear it and then I'll say something on the podcast and I'll get 30 emails like, dude, that's crust grind. It's not, power violence. And I'm like, oh God, all right with this.
Yeah. Yeah, people call it newcore a lot too, because there's influences of hardcore and punk and stuff in it too. So that's the thing is like, it's hard to be grouped into something because people are going to call you what they're going to call you. But for me, there's so many different influences from rock or punk or metal or whatever it is. It's like it all just goes in there, and there's really no like thought of like I want to sound like this. It's just this sounds good to me. It's like I'll look at it like it's a meal, and these are the ingredients I put in. You sprinkle in whatever you want, and it tastes good to you, and so that's what it is. And then whatever people call it, that's what they call it. Same with you. I'm sure people have called you a million different things, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
Hardcore. They call you metal, but I'm sure they call you.
When we first got on Ozfest, like the first time we did Ozfest, we were the only sort of hardcore crossover band. But then for the real underground, staunch punk and hardcore kids that don't like all those nu metal bands, even though our sound didn't change, all of a sudden they would call us nu metal. Right. And we're like, okay, call it whatever you want. We're trying to expand the audience, not by changing the sound, but just changing the audience. Right. Just see, will anybody be inspired by this? Will anybody like the beats? Will anybody like the lyrics or the riffs or whatever? And luckily we did that, because now we've, had a very long, successful career by not just sticking to playing to one type of crowd.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's what I'm into. All inclusive, like you, and I hear you say that a lot. All inclusive, like anything in the scene, anything that's good, anything that's heavy, anything, whatever it is, all inclusive. Like I like, most listeners, we all listen to so many different things,
Well, that was the early days of when I would really be hard on, and this is before like social media, where I'd really be always saying to kids, especially at meet and greets and you know, when we would see them out by the bus and stuff, like if they would go, "Oh man, why'd you play with this band?" Because the whininess and that shit, it existed. They just didn't have an outlet for it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I would always be like, just promote what you really like. If that's the shows you want to book, you know, a show with all 5 of the same bands who say the same fucking thing in between songs, who tell the crowd to do the same fucking thing. I don't know why you need 5 bands to do that, but when you put it like that, they go, "Oh yeah." And then because when I would promote shows, I'd have, you know, a death metal band, an emo band. I mean, I did shows. One time I did a show. We had a ska band and a death metal band.
That's sick, man. See, I love that. I would be stoked on that. Yeah.
Right?